Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Fortnite Battle Royale tips and tricks video. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to get high kill solo wins or 10 plus kill solo wins pretty consistently with what I think is still the best strategy, which is to do it consistently and still be aggressive. Play aggressive in that early mid game, and then when it comes down to the late game, be strategic, be smart about it, and make sure you are converting on those wins with a high amount of kills. We're going to cover all that in today's video, analyze this video or this gameplay that I got the other day, and talk about it. If you guys could smack a like on this video, that would be absolutely amazing. Let's go ahead and go for 801 likes. If you could hit that, that would be incredible. Go ahead and smash that like button. And I also want to talk a lot about this gameplay, about my inventory, because I make some very interesting inventory choices using a combat shotgun, using an AK, using a SCAR, using a normal AR, using pretty much everything in the book, flintlock pistol, and a lot of stuff in this gameplay, which we will talk about. So smack that like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and let's get right into it. So like I say, 10 plus kill solo wins consistently. You want to be getting as many kills as you can, usually in that early mid game. Late game, you can rack up the kills, but late game, when I'm in that top 10, I'm all about converting, and I want to make sure that I'm able to get that win, because my thinking is when I've invested, and let's say you're in the top 10, there's 5 people left and you have 9 kills, you don't want to die in second place in that game, and you want to make sure you're able to convert on that. So early game is find a shotgun, find some shields, and then start playing aggro. And you can see right here, the flint-knock pistol. Now, this is honestly a deadly combo that I think a lot of people that are good players and professional players are using this, but I think that a lot of casual players think that maybe this combo is harder to use than it is, and I thought that for a little bit. But the flint-knock, I mean, you can see right there, this is the gray one. There's only gray and green, and I hit that guy for 172 to the head. And the beautiful thing about that right there, hit for like, what, 70 or 80? The beautiful thing is that not only can this be used for that, it can be used for utility as well. So if you fall, and instead of taking fall damage, you just shoot this, and you can basically catch yourself like that. And the other thing is that you can use this flint-knock, and because it's not a shotgun, it's a pistol or whatever, you can swap right over to your combat, and it works quite well if you get the play off correctly, because this thing should knock you away, and then of course you use the combat, which does more damage at a distance. And right there, I did it against that player who had the tac shotgun, and he basically had no chance. He hit me with the tac shotgun a few times, but of course that does nothing from a distance, and I come right back here with this flint-knock. So I think that these things are very, very important when it comes to the fighting where you're like in a building or very close to people. The flint-knock is absolutely deadly. Right there again, 170 to the head, and basically all of these kills are happening because I'm using this sort of like an old pump shotgun. Now, I don't recommend carrying this as your only option. You can see I of course have the combat shotgun to swap to right away. So if I miss this, because if you hit the shot, it's going to be absolutely deadly. You want to make sure you know where you are, because you're going to shoot yourself back. So you don't want to use this in the air unless you have like a glider redeploy, because of course if you use the shot, you can't catch yourself with the shot, you have to reload. So that's how I was able to come out of tilted towers with 5 kills. Now right here, my materials are pretty low, and the decision you have to make is either do I want to go and try to find another fight, or do I want to farm up? Most likely it's a little bit of both. I of course see someone by using the slipstream, and I come out right over here. This guy was already weak and was pretty easy picking, so of course get some good damage in on this guy. He gets damaged or injured, and right away I just build up, and all you want to do here is get the angle on the player. Works out quite easily. I get that kill. I didn't invest too much into it, and I'm able to loot up this player, and luckily this guy did have a good amount of mats. He didn't have any health or anything like that, but he did have mats, and I was able to move on. Now we're getting to more of the mid-late game scenario, where you see I played it pretty aggressive. I wiped out a lot of people in tilted, charged at that guy mid-game. Now we're in the point where I need to have, I'm in 200 materials right now. I know that with this inventory, 200 materials, I'm most likely not going to win the game. I need to get a kill, or I need to farm up, and I want to do a little bit of both. So the first thing I do is, of course, when I'm around an area where I can farm up, like Dusty Divot is almost a sanctuary, because you can get the mushrooms for health, and then you can also get the trees for farm, and also the metal and stuff like that on the fence. You can see here, this is something that will happen when you're playing aggressive in the mid game. A lot of fights will be moving in with the storm. So you can see as I'm doing here, I realize we're up in the divot. I need to focus on getting out of this area, and I want to take this fight to basically where, you know, I do have a campfire, so if I do take damage from the storm, it's not the end of the world. But of course, I want to save that for more late game, so I don't have to worry about it. So I'm moving in, and of course, I wanted to take this fight when I can. So I'm trying to track this player as much as I can. I still have that same inventory from before, which this inventory is decent, but honestly, it's a little bit scuffed because of the fact that I don't have like a full-on spray weapon. The AK is not the best for spray, and there I'm able to take that guy out because he dies in the storm off those AK shots. So I realize I'm going to go into and this is where it's 13 people left. I want to go for my late game inventory, and this is where I swap out to, instead of using the gray flintlock, which was great and worked out amazing for me for early to mid game, I swap out to the purple combat and then the green drum gun to spray. Now, having a spraying weapon is not required in this season, I don't think, but when you have the AK, which like I just said about the AK, this guy, of course, gets the high ground on me, but still doesn't get the good shots in, and when people build up above you like this, it usually only takes a couple pickaxes, knock them back down, boom, right here I crack him for 114. I was amazed after that shot how this guy still had health, but of course, this is where a drum gun does come into help. You know, a flint knock is very, very good, but a drum gun has great use, especially when it comes down to spraying people down like this. And let me go back into what I was just saying, where essentially I wanted to, the AK is great, and if I have like a SCAR and a shotgun, I would carry just those two, and I wouldn't be worried so much about a spraying weapon, but the AK really doesn't have the fastest fire rate at all, and it is nice to have something like a drum gun at this stage in the game. The flint knock is not as useful because I have to be right up with them, which when I'm fighting in tilted towers can happen quite a bit, but in the late game, it's more about spraying, making people use materials, and using the map and the surroundings to your advantage. So I could have taken the flint knock there. Honestly, I could have easily because I did have the SCAR, but at that stage, I thought at first, you know, AK would make sense to go AK, combat, and then drum gun. But looking at it back, honestly, I could have gone SCAR. Once you have the SCAR and a shotgun, you pretty much don't need anything else. So I could have filled that third slot with the flint knock or possibly with something different if I decided to. But essentially right here, I'm worried about getting this win. I'm in the top 10, and once I get into the top 10, I'm trying to, you know, there's the top 25, the top 10, and then the victory royale. When I'm in that top 10, I want to convert and get those wins. Right here, I realized, and this is where I realized, like, okay, I kind of messed up, and I was playing in my head, like, this drum gun is good for my inventory, but I don't need it. I can spray with the SCAR, which honestly is pretty amazing at spraying up close. So I move over here just to check what this has, and it does have some shadow grenades, which were, I was thinking about, should I go with the shadow grenades, which are great for a more competitive match. In less competitive matches, when I have the glider redeploy already and the jump pad, I can usually just rotate based off of those things. So I decided to go with the 50 pot here, and that is, like I said, I'm not too worried about, as long as I have something that's comfortable to spray with. So if I had the AK and the shotgun, I would have not swapped that out, but because I had the SCAR and the shotgun, I'm so comfortable with this sort of loadout, and I've gotten countless wins this season with it. So I get challenged by a guy right here, immediately go for the high ground and take the high ground off on this player, which is what you want to do. You always want to claim high ground right away, especially with combat shotguns, the way this works. I kind of accidentally fall off here, which isn't that big of a deal, but I realize the storm is pushing, and this is what happens. Like I said, when you're playing more aggro, mid to late game, a lot of fights you'll be moving in with a storm. This guy, of course, goes with the covering up and down, but not covering the sides, which happens quite often. You will see players doing this, and the simple explanation is drop down to the sides. It's the same when you do the ramps above their head and the ramp to run on. You want to get that side angle on them to either to shoot the whole thing down or to get that shot in on the player. So here we are. I realized 3 players left. 1 is already over by where the next zone is. So at this point, I'm like, I don't want to. I know I have a jump pad, and I know the next zone is far. So I'm like, I'm going to use this jump pad to rotate over. However, there's 3 people left. I'm obviously one of them. That player across there is one of them, but I'm not sure where this third player is. And I want to make sure I'm winning this game, and I want to win it with 10 plus kills. So of course, to get 10 plus kills, I just need 1 more of these kills. But I realize, okay, 1 guy is over there chilling. I don't know where the other player is, and that's why I want to take my time here. It's all about player tracking late game, and essentially, I realize you could rotating early. I talk about quite a bit, but there was already someone that was sort of over in that area. I see builds happening. I'm like, I don't want to rotate right now. I want to wait till the zone starts to move and sort of move in with it, so I go a little bit more under the radar. That was my full-on plan. So you'll see here, I decide to set up the jump pad right as the zone is about to touch me, stay in the sky as long as I can, and then dive down into the new zone, or into the a good area in the new zone, giving me zone advantage and base up immediately. It's a pretty common late game strategy, and this is why I carry gliders, because you don't always have a launch pad like I do. Luckily, this game, like, launch pads are better than gliders because you go up higher, and then of course you have more ability to maneuver and adjust with it. So you can see here rotating in, and I'm looking, I'm trying to figure out where these players are. One's probably below me. I want to just head to this next zone, set up, and then make it hopefully where they have to come to me. If I have to rotate back to them, I'm not too worried about not having another jump pad because I do have the of course, redeploy. So at this point, I realized they are fighting across the way. I set up a base where I support as much as I can, and I realized, okay, I see both these players. So first of all, shots in on this guy. I get the kill. I'm pretty hyped up, and I'm like, okay, I can finish this right now. This guy's moving in with the storm. He might be damaged. Right there, I realize he stops for just a second, and I remember this. I ducked like literally my head in real life, because whenever people stop and stand still and you have all the advantage, they're most likely looking for that crazy sniper shot. Take your time, play it out. I ducked down. I waited. He took the shot. I poked back up, and I was able to finish it off. So really smart instincts there. That was one where I easily could have lost that game if he hit that shot or if I didn't duck down, but that's just gaming instincts that allowed me to, because that's happened to me before. It's happened to all of us, allowed me to get that win. So definitely things you can take from this game. Flintlock pistol, use that thing, at least test out the combo. Also test out just carrying 2 weapons. If you have a SCAR or a blue AR and a good gold purple shotgun, you don't really have to worry about it, or if you have the TAC as well. But I still think that carrying 3rd weapons, whether it's a tactical AR, whether it's an SMG, burst, whether it's a drum gun, it can be effective, but there are so many different options when it comes to this season, whether it's 6 stink bombs. Keep your mind a little bit more open, and you don't always have to be rocking with 3 traditional weapons, as long as you have some really strong weapons that you can slay out with and you're confident with in that scenario. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop a like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one, and I'm out. Peace.